Hello and good evening and welcome to Cúilín Media.
Yes, hello everyone. Paul, you're actually Cúilín Media.
Sorry, good start.
Both doing the same job. This stuff. Liam.
Take it away, man.
Yes, hello everyone. Both of us should try to say it there. We are very, very welcome to another weekend preview show here on the channel. It is the second weekend preview show where we're looking ahead just to the club championship action, of course, in 2026/27. We have the first of the many, many county finals to look forward to this weekend. The Waterford Senior Hurling Championship final will take place this Sunday live on TG Car between Ballygunner and Fourmilewater. We have plenty to get through. As Peter here is showing, and Ryan, Peter saying, hey lads, how's the form? Ryan saying, well lads, how's things? We're doing very well, lads. Good to have you with us again on the show. If you are new here on the channel, get involved in the live chat. Let us know what are the club games you're looking forward to. What ones do you want us to discuss? And we'll dive in deeper on those games. Peter here saying Kildare Hurling Championship kicked off last night, was in Hawkfield. Éire Óg had a great first half against Maynooth. Second half, Maynooth finished stronger to get the win. Davy Qualter and Cathal McCabe were both out injured. There's a lot of very, very interesting talking points across the board, Liam, in terms of the club championship action. But I suppose we'll get into a little bit of different news before we go into the club championships. But before we do, we have to give a big shout out as well to our sponsors, our championship coverage partners for 2026. ATAK Sports have been backing us throughout the entire summer. And now we're heading into the autumn as well. They help us to do what we do here on the channel. So if you need any sports gear, check them out across their website and their socials. The link to their website is in the description of this video. But Liam, as this comment here says, Mike Solan looking like he's going to Offaly. And then Peter also saying, Liam, your assessment of Mike Solan's appointment, of course. Former manager of Longford, looking like he's going to take the reins as Offaly football manager. What do you make of that?
Yeah, 3-year term. Very much looking forward to seeing what he can do with us, to be honest with you. Certainly not an appointment that I was expecting or anything like that. Sort of kind of came out of the blue a small bit. But listen, I'm just glad that we finally got a manager, because this felt like it was going on forever, to be honest with you, that I actually was nearly starting to get worried that we wouldn't have a manager at all next season. But yeah, plenty of experience. All Ireland under-21 winner with Mayo, a promotion with Longford, worked under Andy Moore with Leitrim for a couple of seasons. So he's coming into it with plenty of experience, which is a good thing. He has a good backroom team in behind him, the likes of Joe Keane, obviously had worked with Sligo for a number of years, and Nigel Dunn as well, who's also our manager with the Shamrocks footballers as well. So, be interesting to see. And there's rumored to be another former Offaly footballer going in with him over the next couple of weeks as well. So, yeah, look, all we can do is really back him, to be honest with you. Look, 2026 was a difficult year for the footballers. Could have ended well with the Tailteann Cup, but overall, with the league and the way the Leinster Championship went, and then with the second half against Wicklow, it was a disappointing year. And probably, nobody was really shocked to see Declan Kelly and Mickey Hart leave their roles. But look, still wish the best of luck to them anyways. They did their best. But yeah, we're going to get behind him anyways, see what he can deliver for us next year. Listen, if we can compete well in Division 3, maybe move up the ranks a small bit in Leinster, potentially win a Tailteann Cup as well, maybe, then, he'll have expectations anyway. But, yeah, I think it's a good appointment. We wish him all the best of luck. He'll have the Offaly Championship now to get stuck into and have a look at over the next number of months and see who he wants to pick. And, yeah, we'll see how he gets on.
Absolutely. So, well, we're going to run this episode a little bit differently to the way that we ran the previous one. So we're going to start off with the headline that we've chosen for this weekend, which is the Ballygunner versus Fourmilewater for Waterford Senior Hurling Championship Final of 2026. Fourmilewater looking to stop Ballygunner making it 13 Waterford titles in a row, which is absolutely insane. That game takes place on Sunday, but then what we're going to do after we preview that one is we're going to go back to Friday's games and then run through the weekend chronologically from that point on in terms of what games take place, etc., etc. So, without further ado, it's time to look ahead to one of the most anticipated county finals we've seen in a while. I think it's fair to say Ballygunner are a real dynasty, but this weekend, as they chase their 13th in a row, they're going up against Fourmilewater, who are chasing their first ever. Sunday at 2:30 in Fraher Field, the two of them go head-to-head. This game is live on TG Car. Liam, what are you expecting from this one?
Yeah, the fact that you said 13 in a row is just frightening. Like, if you're someone who's never watched Gaelic games before and you just heard of this team that's won 12 of their intercounty titles in a row, like not even the fact that they've won them, but in the manner that they've won them as well. Look, first of all, this is fantastic for Fourmilewater for them to be in the Waterford Senior Hurling Final. Like, there was great scenes last weekend when they managed to win, or a couple weeks ago when they managed to win their semi-final. So look, I'm delighted for them when they bet Rowan Moore. It was a great comeback for them as well. The fact that they were 6 points down at half time, they managed to come out the second half, score 2-10, which is an unbelievable return. They only reduced Rowan Moore to 5 points in the second half, so they showed a lot of grit and determination to get themselves over the line in that game. Ballygunner, look, everybody knows about them at this stage. They've won 12 in a row. They've won 2 All-Irelands. They've won 3-4 Munster titles in a row. Like, they're essentially an unstoppable force in Waterford, and they even won the minor title there the other night as well. I believe Young Spain was back playing for them as well after having his third times with injury. So look, at the end of the day, Ballygunner are not only the best side in Waterford, they're arguably the best side still in the country. And in a way, it's unfortunate. Like, you saw the way that they kind of took apart De La Salle in comparison to last year when they met them in the semi-final, when I genuinely thought they actually nearly could have been got at. Like, the camera was panning to John Milan every 2 seconds last year, and the excitement from him in the crowd and everyone else before eventually it just fell short for them. I just hope to God, look, being straight up and honest about it, it's brilliant for Fourmilewater to be here. I don't see them being good enough to beat Ballygunner, unfortunately, like, from their perspective. But I do hope that we don't get a similar situation to last year, because last year's Waterford final was just a complete blowout. What did Ballygunner get last year? 335 last year?
Yeah, it
Like,
was 235, I remember.
35, yeah. Like, that's a ridiculous scoreline to be getting in a county
35
final.
points in 60 minutes is fucking crazy. Like, that's
37 scores.
Yeah, 37 scores in 60 minutes. Like, I'm not great at maths, but I know that's that's more than one score every 2 minutes, which is insane. That's just the amount of shots that they must have been taking at the goal. But yeah, it is interesting to look at it, because you are thinking about it in terms of a logic of, surely at some point this comes to an end. And what you tend to notice is when it comes to an end, it comes to an end quite quickly. Like Dublin over the Leinster Football Championship, just 3 years ago, it was a joke. Like 3 years ago, it was like, oh, who's going to win the Leinster Championship? Fucking hell. Like that type. And now, in the last 2 years, we've had back-to-back winners from outside Dublin, Louth and Westmeath. And now going into next year, like, Dublin aren't the slam dunk favourites to win Leinster. Meath will be up there again. Like, we've got plenty of options of who could win in the province. So when it falls, it tends to fall quite quickly. And like, another great example is the Cork LGFA, won 11 All-Irelands in 12 years. And then when they won their last one in 2016, they haven't won one since. Like, it tends to change quite quick. And for Ballygunner, I don't expect that will happen because of the talent that they have coming behind. The Cormac Spains, these lads, Patrick Fitzgerald is 20, 21. Like, these lads aren't going anywhere. And even if they lose it this year, they'll be absolutely the front runners to get it back again next year. But I think one of the key things is, Joe, we'll just read these comments first and then I'll give I think one of the key things are. Brendan saying, in the year of upsets and shocks, why can't Fourmilewater add to the craziness and unpredictability in 2026? But against the machine as Ballygunner, that won't be easy. Galwegian Legion also saying, haven't a clue about Waterford hurling, but up Fourmilewater, one team dominating the club scene is not good for any county. We saw with St. Thomas's dominance here. That's it. And, for Dublin hurling as well, Na Fianna are kind of having that effect. They're really dominant, and we need club teams to rise up and challenge them. Like, we need Coola, we need Crokes, we need Vincent's, we need Lucan to come up and really give them a run for their money. But then again, Liam, is it necessarily a bad thing? Because we also saw, on the flip side, we saw Ballyhale. Like, Na Fianna's dominance coincides with a period where Dublin are actually getting better. We're getting to Leinster finals again and stuff like this. Ballyhale Shamrocks, when they were undisputed kings in Kilkenny, it didn't seem to affect the Kilkenny hurling team that much. Kilkerran Clonberne, dominant in the Galway LGFA, finally won the All-Ireland this year. Is it always a bad thing?
it's not always a bad thing, but the only thing I would say is Na Fianna, at least I think, and it's no disrespect to the teams of Waterford, Na Fianna have unbelievable competition in Dublin. Like Na Fianna last year were, let's be honest about it, with that penalty, very fortunate to win the Dublin final. They were
Yeah.
very fortunate. I still maintain to this day they were very fortunate to beat Kilmacud Folks 2 years ago. Very, very fortunate. Like, what was it? The last minute goal they got 2 years ago. Like,
And that year as well, they got through the semi-final against Vincent's after extra time as well. So they've been made to work for it.
Exactly. As much as Ballyhale were probably still a good bit ahead in Kilkenny, Kilkenny Championship is still very, very competitive with the likes of Dixborough, with the likes of Bennett's Bridge over the last number of years, the likes of O'Loughlin Gales, Thomastown winning it a couple of years ago. They've still had a bit of competition. Even with us in Offaly, we've won the last 3, but by God, we've had to work for it. And it's not a guarantee we win it this year. Do you know? So I think it depends on how competitive your championship is. Because I don't even mind, say, a team winning it over a certain period of years. It just, for me, it depends on who's actually challenged them. Do you know, like if they're, look, it's not really bothered Ballygunner. They've won Munsters, they've won All Ireland, so it hasn't affected them that much. But then it sort of maybe affects the Waterford senior hurling team to a degree. Like with Kilkenny, say, and with Dublin, like you said, Na Fianna may be the best side in Dublin right now, but there are still a lot of competitive teams in Dublin competing against Na Fianna. And when they're getting those competitive games, it only makes them hungrier for the Dublin hurlers, and it makes them better players when they go into Neil O'Callaghan's setup. Same in Kilkenny. It'd be the same in Offaly. It'd be the same in, I'm hoping it'll be the same in Kildare this year, please God. And, teams will put it up much more to, like, similar to how, a tie brought down Naas in football last year. Maybe we could see the same in hurling against Naas sometime soon. But it's the same with, okay, I know Wexford are going through a bit of a period at the moment, but for years, Wexford Championship, and it still is very competitive, not easy to win. So for me, it is about the actual championship itself and who's actually competing with Ballygunner. I don't mind teams losing to them, but the only real challenge I've seen against them the last number of years was De La Salle last year in the semi-final. I hope I'm wrong this weekend. I don't mind if Ballygunner win this weekend. I don't like it. We've no affiliation with it. I just want to see a competitive game. I want to see Fourmilewater at least put it up to them. If the game is in the melting pot the last 5 minutes, even, do you know what I mean? Just a bit of drama makes it a bit exciting. Make them work for it. It will come to an end eventually. It's just, like you said, it's a matter of when, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely so. And I think when you're looking at the sides that have been dominant over the last 2 years in the club championships, the key thing that stands out about them is you'd look at, squads such as Patrick's Well, for example. They're a good example of this. The three hurlers of the year in the team. Then you're looking at Fourmilewater and you're saying they got Jamie Barron and they got Sean Walsh. But the reality is, if they're going to get anywhere near Ballygunner in this, all 15 of them have to have, all 20 of them, the subs that come in as well, they have to have the games of their lives, because that's the key thing that Ballygunner always do. One day out, Park Mahoney does the business. One day out, Desi Hutchinson does the business. One day it's a combination of Patrick Fitzgerald and Conor Tobin off the bench. Like, they have so many threats and they have so many players that are kind of at a similar level, so they can always just whip one off and put another in. And they've beaten similar teams in the final before, where they definitely have 2 or 3 outstanding individual players that you're looking to going, you know what, when Mount Zion were in it, you're looking at Austin Gleeson and you're like, Gleeson needs to have the game of his life. And Ballygunner is just, they're all really good without having that kind of 2 or 3 exceptional players. And just to flesh out as well on the point about, is it bad for the county? Well, for Ballygunner and Waterford, without getting too deep into it, Ballygunner, when they're winning their All-Irelands, had Stephen O'Keefe, who wasn't playing with Waterford anymore, Philip Mahoney, who wasn't playing with Waterford anymore, Pádraig Mahoney, who dropped in and out of the team. So that element also, Barry Coughlin had also retired at that point from Waterford. So that's another element to it. Ballyhale had everyone playing. Na Fianna have everyone playing for Dublin. That's another thing to be taken into consideration for it. Like before down football, another example, before down football made the turnaround under Conor Laverty, there were a good chunk of the Kilcoo lads that weren't playing for down, like, even though that they would have been on the team. John Doherty here saying, with Mayo making the big breakthrough this year and finally reaching immortality, my predictions for 2027 is Waterford to win the All-Ireland. That would be absolute carnage. Brendan saying it's always nice. In football, maybe that'd be even more crazy. Brendan saying it's always nice to have different winners. Everything needs to go right for Fourmilewater and everything needs to go wrong for Ballygunner. But yeah, let's give our predictions then. Personally, as much as I want Fourmilewater to win, I can't see anything other than a Ballygunner win. They are this kind of team of they just have a machine that just overarches over whatever players are on the pitch. They have a system that just it's like the Dublin footballers under Jim Gavin. It just you can plug and replace. Take out Eric Lowndes, put in Darren Daly, same result. Take out Paul Flynn, put in Brian Howard, same result. Like, Ballygunner just have a system that then when you combine it with the fact that their general standard of player that they're bringing in is really high. It would be a miracle if Fourmilewater are able to do it, because on top of that, what's their plan coming into this as well? Like, because Ballygunner have all the experience. This is Fourmilewater's first Waterford County final. Ballygunner will know how to win these games. They've won 12 of them in a row. I struggle to see what Fourmilewater can bring that Ballygunner haven't seen before. I think that is what I think, to hark back to the Sarsfields game, that would be my one window. If you could have one 10-minute spell where Ballygunner think they're home and hosed, and then you just kamikaze it and just fucking score 2-3 goals, and Ballygunner are just like, what's going on? Needs to kind of, Sean wants to just absolutely send it in the last 10 minutes. That could be the window. But if it's controlled, like very system play hurling, Ballygunner will win 10 times out of 10, in my opinion. I can't. But if it's a situation where it's a bit crazy, it's a bit chaotic, there's an opportunity for a smash and grab there for Fourmilewater with the players that they have. But the safe money, I would say, is Ballygunner to win this. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think Ballygunner will win this comfortably, unfortunately. Look, I think Fourmilewater should just absolutely go welly for it and just like Brendan's saying, just absolutely have a go, see what happens, give it your best shot. Let's put it this way: every club, certainly every club in Munster, if Ballygunner were to lose, would be licking their lips and thinking, boys, there's an opportunity there to win a Munster title if we get out of our county. Even other counties could be thinking, lads, there's an All-Ireland. Like when Sarsfield bet, I'll admit myself, when Sarsfield bet Ballygunner, it was the day after we lost to Nafina, and I actually thought, that's an opportunity gone. That's a big opportunity gone. And Nafina went and won. They took full advantage of it. So, but look, I can't see anything but a Ballygunner win. I think they'll win this comfortably enough on Sunday. Unfortunately for Fourmilewater, I think it could be. Unfortunately, I think it could be like that.
Well, we'll see in time about how this goes. But we're going to move on now. And A2 saying there were long-term warning signs. Dublin would drop off, nothing like Gunner. They could do 20 in a row, says A2. Very interesting. But we're going to go back to Thursday's games, today's games, and we're going to give a run through of how they're going. We don't have the results for all of them yet. Doon versus Monaleen, Napiershik versus Ahan. They threw in at 6:30, so I'll look them up as we're talking, Liam. Newcastle West then against Kildimo Paliskenry at 7:30. What game sticks out to you out of the three? I suppose myself and yourself are both back Doon.
Yeah.
What are we thinking? Well, I'll take a look now.
Yeah, I think Doon, just simply because the two of us have backed them fairly much this year. And I know they had a tough defeat against Kilmallock in the championship, but I mean, look, you're going to get games like that early on in a championship, in my opinion. I think Doon are still a very, very strong team in the Limerick Championship. Napiershik as well. I still think when it comes down to it, I think these two will be in the final. But at the same time, Kilmallock, they'll be. I could see why. I think wasn't Aaron picked Kilmallock to win the Limerick title. like, I can see why he went for them, to be fair. Even a lot of people, when I put up my video, were saying Kilmallock as well for Limerick and possibly even for Munster. And like Kilmallock have a history of winning the Leinster title, or Leinster title, Jesus, that'd be something. If history of winning the Munster title, and reaching they reached All Ireland final in 2015, wasn't it? Against
who?
Kilmallock in 2015.
Yes.
Yeah. So like, look, I think Doon, they should be beating Monaghan this evening. Obviously, looking up the score at the moment, I think Na Piarsaigh should be beating Ahane as well. Kildemo, Palace Henry, I know they have Kyle Hayes in their team, so that'll be interesting to see how they get on there. He was obviously playing in the Hurling for Cancer the other night, as well as a few other Limerick players as well. But yeah, some interesting games there this evening. It's also it's amazing the amount of games that are happening both this evening, and there was games happening last night in Kilkenny, etc. Because of VP this weekend. So
yeah, well, interesting as well. The Na Piarsaigh result is in. Na Piarsaigh social media is very good, verified on Twitter. So big shout out to that club. Couldn't see any from Doon or Monaghan on their game, and Limerick themselves have no results up, and Na Piarsaigh have the result up. So interesting one. Maybe it will come in a couple of hours. But Na Piarsaigh beat Ahane according to their social media. 3 goals and 17 points to 10 points. Docky Dempsey with 1-2, Peter Casey with 5 points, Dylan Lynch with 1-1, Ronan Lynch with 4 points, on Brosnan with a goal, Keith Dempsey with 3, JJ Carey and James Finn with a point each. So a very, very impressive win there for Na Piarsaigh. We do expect Doon to beat Monaghan. Newcastle.
Oh
wow.
Yeah, Seamus, we're getting cooked.
Oh no.
I don't have the score, but according to Stream Sport, an impressive display from Monaghan earns them victory against Doon in a hugely dramatic game.
Fuck.
Last I checked, it said 124 to 317. Yep, 124 to 317. Oh, Seamus, we're cooked.
Wow. All right, keep the head down. We'll move on to the next games. Peter saying Kobe's back from Oz. He was golfing with Conor Loftus today. He'll surely line out the next day for Crossmolina. That's big news if he can play for Crossmolina. Cork LGFA Championship then tonight. We don't have the results from these games just yet. Clonakilty against St. Val's, Mourne against Éire Óg, Ada against O'Donovan Russa, and Naomh Aubán against Glen Meyer. In the Derry Senior Football Championship thrown in at 7:30, St. Mary's will take on Lavey. In Cavan, Crosserlock will take on Larry United at 8 p.m. That game has started. Clonmel Commercials against the Harlow as well. None of these games you have the results for, folks. Carlow Football Championship, Mount Leinster Rangers against Grange, Éire Óg against Palatine. In Kildare, Naas face Ardclough, and Quildove face Confey at 8 p.m. in both of those games. Roscommon LGFA sees Boyle face St. Bridget's, St. Barry's face Shannon Gales, Clonagale face St. Dominic's, and Éire Óg face St. Kieran's. And some big games there. Ryan has given us the results. That's a win for Doon. No?
Yeah, that'd be a win for Doon.
Are you sure you have that score correct, Ryan?
Well,
because
well, judging by the celebrations on Stream Sport, yeah.
Sure. I hope Ryan's right for my prediction's sake.
I hope Ryan's right as well.
Oh yeah, man, said no. I meant 319. Monaghan 223, Doon 319. Yeah.
Well, either way,
looks like it sounds like a dramatic game anyway.
We look
very impressive win there. But anyway, we'll move into Friday's games. More action from the Limerick Senior Hurling Championship tomorrow. Adair face Mungret St. Paul's at 6:30 p.m. and Patrick Swell face Gary Spillane at 6:30 p.m. as well. So more big games there in the Limerick Hurling Championship. But we're going to move now to the capital. We're going to move to Dublin. I will be commentating on both of these games for anybody who wants to watch. So I absolutely have to give you a preview for these two. Erin's Isle against Neighbour Óg at 6:45 p.m. and that is followed by the champions Nafina taking on St. Vincent's at 8:30. Both of those games in Parnell Park, live and free to watch on Dubs TV. All you have to do is make an account with your email and you're in and you can watch the whole club championship for free. But yeah, it is it'll be very, very interesting, these two games. Neighbour Óg are a good side. They've just faced two very, very good teams back to back. Erin's Isle actually beat St. Vincent's the first day out. They've got very, very good players in there, the likes of Ollie Gaffney, who's really, really breaking through in the Dublin team. And then they also have the likes of Owen Carney, who played at under 20 level with the Dubs and everything like that. So a very, very good Erin's Isle team. Neighbour Ogue, on the other hand, they've Joe Flanagan, they've Paddy Doyle, established Dublin starters, and Joe Flanagan is kind of around the squad with Sean Gallagher as well, who's there at wing back, an absolute powerful figure there at wing back. I won't give a prediction for either game, but I'll just state that one will be very, very interesting because both sides need to win. Erin's Isle are in that odd position where they're kind of mid-table. A win could see them kick up higher into the group, and a loss could see them now looking over their shoulder, because especially because Barogues are in the position where they've lost back-to-back games, they need a win. Nafina against St. Vincent's is a big one. St. Vincent's lost both of their opening games, then got an absolutely thrilling win over Whitehall Columkill. Unfortunately, my club, by 1 point in a game that I was commentating on, and it was one of the best games I've ever commentated on. It was sensational. Yeah, 6 goals scored in the game, 5 by Whitehall. But yeah, Owen O'Donnell hat-trick. Connor Burke, absolutely unbelievable goal from him. And the key thing is for Vincent's is that could snap them into life, because they've been very, very close over the last couple of years. They, as I said earlier, they lost to Nafina after extra time in the semi-final in 2024. Last year, they weren't really up to much. But this year, with that win, they seem like maybe the pennies dropped and we could get the Vincents of a couple of years ago back. The year before, in 2023, they lost in the semi-final to Ballyboden in a razor-tight game as well after extra time. That was the one where Dermot Connolly came back out of nowhere for that year. So they're a very, very good side. And I think that local rivalry between Nafina and Vincent's, 2 huge clubs right beside each other, that could bring out the spark again in Vincent's that got brought out for Whitehall as well, another local rival. So be a big, big game. And I expect Nafina to get their toughest test that they've got yet in the championship. They've had 2 relatively easy wins so far, 3 relatively easy wins so far, I should say. And yeah, I absolutely think that Vincent's will give them the toughest test that they've had so far. You have to make Nafina favourites for the fact that they're 3 in a row champions and they're going well. But this will be the toughest test that they face. And for Erin's Isle versus Barogues, I didn't know this, A2. I didn't know that was your club. You'd never told us that before. But don't worry, I'll be nice. And I hope you're tuning in as well. But Erin's Isle Barogues should be a very, very entertaining game as well. But yeah, moving on then. Armagh Senior Football Championship. We have Armagh Harps going up against Cullerville at 6:45 p.m. and Marie against Grainmore. In Derry, we have Sean O'Leary Newbridge going up against Kilray at 7:30. In Cavan, then we have Ramore United going up against Ballyhaise at 8 p.m. In Roscommon, we've Pádraig Pearses going up against Clonagale at 8 p.m. Boyle going up against Roscommon Gales at 8 p.m. as well. In Tipperary, we have Ard Finnan against Ballina at 6:45. In Wicklow, we have St. Patrick's against Untucker at 7. And Carnew Emmets against Bray Emmets at 7 as well. And a couple of games in hurling then. We've from Sligo, we've Naveown against Colera Strandhill at 7 p.m. and Nafina against Kilmessin in Meath at 7 p.m. I suppose out of the rest of the games on Friday, which one really sticks out to you?
Well, I suppose without being boring, Nafina Vincent's will be one that stands out to me. I suppose, first of all, an 8:30 throw-in, that is mad late. I have to say that is mental. But listen, what else would you want to be out on a Friday night? But yeah, that would probably be one. I suppose I feel bad for poor our good friend Cúilín, the football genius. He predicted the poor Harps to win the Armagh title, and I think they're actually now can't win it now, which is unfortunate from his perspective. They've had a lot of very nearly games, very, very close fought tight affairs, so that's unfortunate from their perspective. Pádraig Pearses, they'll be looking to continue on their good form against Clonagale. They'll be. I mean, I've backed them to win the Roscommon title this year, so hopefully they can continue on their good form. Anyway. And yeah, those they'll be kind of the main games that I'll be looking at this weekend. Look, to be fair, the Phoenix Vincent's one is the one that stands out to me, really, to be honest with you, because I'm just interested to see how this Nafina team continues to operate. You know, like what was it they're going for? They're going for 4 in a row, aren't they? Or is it
they're going for 4 in a row? They're going for 4 in a row.
Yeah, and I'm just really, really intrigued to see who will take them down. And the fact that you're saying that this could be a Vincent's from a couple of years ago, that makes it even more intriguing, in my opinion. But yeah, then that one, I suppose, yeah, Pádraig Pearses and Clonagale as well, just because I backed them to win the Roscommon title. And well, considering our Dune one is not going so well at the moment, I hope another one doesn't go to complete shit for us. But yeah, I'd say those will be the main games I'll be focusing on Friday.
Very good. So far, we're going to move then into Saturday. And Saturday, we have even more action than we had on Friday and Thursday, really put together. Starting off in the Limerick Senior Hurling Championship, Kilmallock go up against Ballybrown. And we were talking about how well Kilmallock have been moving, going up against Ballybrown. Obviously, they have the likes of Colin Coughlin in there and everything. Another test, but you'd probably make Kilmallock favourites.
Yeah, you would. To be honest, you would. To be honest with you, like in fairness to Ballybrown, they're not a bad old side, but Kilmallock, they're a lot of people's favourites to win the Limerick title this season, and they have some terrific players in their team. They've had great experience in the Limerick Championship over the last number of years as well, so probably would still be making them favourites. Although, like you said, the likes of Colin Coughlin could make a big impact this weekend, but you're going to need more than just him to take down this Kilmallock side, in my opinion.
Absolutely. So Peter asking, Seamus, is Dermo playing any grade football or hurling for Vincent's? To be honest, it's always really hard to know. Like it's he tends to come and go a little bit. When he's in, he's all the way in though. And like I think if he comes back for Vincent's at any point, he like the thing is now though with Connolly is like, what age is Connolly? I just want to get this absolutely right. Because when he came back, I've literally just looked it up there. Let me get it exactly correct. Wi-Fi is a little bit slow. 30. He's 39 years old. So even if he comes back, he can't be the talisman centre forward that he was for them over the years. But he absolutely could play a role. There's no question about it. He absolutely could play a role. When you've seen what Mossy Quinn did with instance on the football side for years and years and years, like it's. Once he has, because the other thing about Dermo is he's always been uber skillful and he's always had a great IQ for the game. He's always really, really good in terms of like timing his runs and waiting for the right moment to come off the shoulder and everything like that. People always underrated that about Dermot Connolly is like just how clever he was as a footballer, because I think because he had a temper, people tended to downplay that side of his game. But he's really, really high IQ for the game as well. And there's no doubt about it. If he continues to kind of work on his craft, like he absolutely could play a role for Vincent's over the next few years. It's just whether or not he wants to be involved anymore. That's kind of the big question. But and if life lines up that he can be, maybe he's moving away, or we don't know. But I hope to see him again. But yeah, Dublin Senior 1 Hurling Championship then on the Saturday. I'll be commentating on 2 more games on the Saturday. The first one I'll be on is Coola versus Fogs, and then Ballybowden St. Enda's against Jude's. So starting off, Coola will face Fogs at 3:30 p.m. Luke and Sarsfields will face Bridget's at 3:30 p.m. in their game. Coola, I'm very, very interested in this year because Coola are also 3 from 3 so far in the Hurling Championship, and they look really, really good. And crucially as well, it's who is looking good. They're all Ireland winners. Sean Moran, Jake Malone, these guys that have 2 All-Ireland medals in their back pocket, but also they're aided by Donal O'Shea. Around the midfield, Donal O'Shea looks like a monster in there for Coola, and he's able to fire over the ball from huge distances out. They were against a tricky Bridget side last week who have won 2 in a row themselves coming into that game. They have Cian O'Sullivan, Dublin All-Star forward. They have Andrew Dunphy in defence. They're a good side. And Coola were just a better team. Made it 3 from 3. They look really, really good. And so Peter asking, am I double header in Parnell? I am indeed on both the Friday night and the Saturday. So I'm going to have a weekend full of commentary. But that will be a very, very interesting game. I would put Coola as favourites going into that one, but Fogs are absolutely capable of causing an upset. There's some very good players. Luke and Sarsfields against Bridget's is a very interesting game. That one's taking place over in O'Toole Park. Luke and Sarsfields, of course, made it to the final last year. Very unlucky to lose to Nafina. As you said earlier, that game could have gone either way. Nafina got the rub of the green, made it 3 in a row. St. Bridget's, on the other hand, need to bounce back. Lost to Coola the last day out, but before that, they'd won 2 in a row. This is a really, really interesting tie because it's a very, very good litmus test for Lucan to show that them getting to the final last year was no fluke. If they beat the likes of Bridget's, it sends out a statement that they're coming for the crown again. But then at 5:30, Ballybowden St. Enda's versus Jude's. Right now, Bowden are moving okay, but not as good as they have been moving in the last 10 years. Like a lot of the players from that golden crop have gone now. It's a completely different Ballyboden side to what you would have thought of over the last few years. No Paul Ryan anymore, none of those type of players. Charlie Carter is still the Lucan Sarsfield's manager, Peter. So he's doing a great job with them. Kilmacud Crokes then face Whitehall Colmkill at 5:30 in O'Toole Park. Kilmacud have been moving very, very well. But Whitehall, the one thing that Whitehall have shown in this championship is fucking hell Whitehall can score goals. So they can absolutely cause Kilmacud a ton of problems. Scored 5 against Vincent's the last day out and had scored 6 coming into the Vincent's game. Scored 2 against Neighbour Rogue and scored 4 against Nafina. So Owen O'Donnell, as a full forward, always scores goals. And I'd love to see him at full forward for Dublin, to be honest. I think I'd love to see him because he's just a goal machine. But anyway, that's what we've got on Saturday. Unbelievable action. And I can't wait to witness it in real time. Then the Antrim Senior Hurling Championship. We have McQuillan Ballycastle going up against Navan at 4 p.m. and Lockhill Shamrocks against O'Donovan Russell at 6:30 p.m. In Donegal, we have Setanta facing Sean McCool's in one semi-final and Burt facing St. Eunan's in the other. Supposing looking up in Ulster for the hurling action there, Antrim and Donegal paired. We're going to find out the Donegal hurling final pairing this weekend. But also in Antrim, it'll be interesting to see how some of the big guns over the last few years, like Lockhill Shamrocks, will get on in there again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose I've backed Setanta to win the Donegal title as well. I believe Aaron predicted St. Eunan's as well to win the Donegal title. So I'd imagine those two teams would probably be favourites to get through. Although Perth aren't an easy opposition either for them. So it'll be an interesting tie there this weekend. Yeah, you said Lockhill Shamrocks. I remember Donovan Rasta as well will always have a special place in my heart because that's where we went up for the Fela back in 2015, and they were top class club and top class facilities, and had a really good time up there. Lockhill Shamrocks, look, the Antrim Championship is very, very difficult. Lockhill Shamrocks, I backed Fury up Cushendall to regain the championship this year, but Lockhill Shamrocks will 100% be up there. Dave Owen, for fantastic year last year. Can they back it up again this year? So some interesting games there in the hurling championships.
Absolutely. So the final senior hurling championship game then that takes place on the Saturday comes from the Meath Senior Hurling Championship, and I'll get the fixture now in just a second. Yes, I got lost on the thing. Ratto versus Kiltalkey at 6 p.m. And moving then to the football, I'm going to split it up into provinces. So I'm going to put Connacht with Ulster because of the fact that it's just the Roscommon one. But we have Armagh Senior Football Championship action. Clonagale face Silverbridge at 6:45 p.m. and St. Pat's Cullihana face Killeavy at 6:45 p.m. In Donegal, we have Kilcar facing the Four Masters at 2 p.m. on Saturday. In Derry, you have Glenullen facing St. Pat's at 4:30 and Steelstown Brian Oaks facing Squatra at 6:15 p.m. In Cavan, we have Arva facing Cavan Gales at 6 p.m. and Kingscourt Stars facing Cucullins at 7:30 p.m. And in Roscommon, we have Castlereagh St. Kevin's facing Oran at 6 p.m. and Elphin facing St. Pollocks at the exact same time. What one out of them jumps out to you?
I suppose St. Pat's Cullihana going up against Killeavy will be a very interesting tie. Just looking at the table at the moment, both sets of team, but Killeavy have won a game and they've drawn one. St. Pat's lost the last time out against Clonagale, so they'll be wanting to get a bit of retribution there. So that'll be an interesting tie come Saturday evening. Clonagale going up against Silverbridge Harps. Unfortunately for them, they have a minus 21 points difference at the moment. Have lost both of their opening games. Clonagale have a win and a draw, which they got against Killeavy. So it's all to play for very much in that group at the moment. So that'll probably be the main game that kind of stands out for me there.
Absolutely. Well, I expect a little bit more of an extended preview from you. I'm going to go to Offaly next, and then I'll put the rest of Leinster with Munster, and then after that, because we still have Sunday to run through as well. So the the Offaly Senior Football Championship, two big ties here. Ferban facing Shamrocks in one game at 3 p.m. on Saturday, and Tullamore facing Road. That's 4 heavyweights in Offaly football going head to head on Saturday.
Yeah, it is, and it's all for a place in the semi-finals. None of these teams can get knocked out this weekend, just with the way the structure is this year. So they're all in say Division 1A, if you want to call it that, and there's a Division 1B as well. Division 1A, Eden Derry season's done, they're finished. So all 4 of those teams, 2 of them, third and fourth, go to a quarterfinal, first and second go to a semi-final, and then it's the top 2 in, say, the Division 1B group, if you want to call it that. So this weekend's a huge weekend for all 4 of these teams. Shamrocks, they've been kind of hit and miss this season. I wouldn't even say hit and miss. They drew against Rhodes, which in another year isn't a bad result. But they were 6 points up at halftime. They kicked a lot of wides in that game. Should have seen the game out. And then they had 5 goals at halftime against Eden Derry. So they really responded well with that. And then against Tullamore, they were beating them at halftime. But then unfortunately Tullamore turned us down in the second half and they got the better of them. But yeah, they're coming into the game a bit more fresh. It's been a while since that Tullamore game. It's actually been a month since that Tullamore game. Shamrocks is actually, ironically, in between where I am, Cormac, Callaghy, and Tullamore. It's literally in between. So, and my grandmother's from Shamrock, so I have to support them in the football. So, but no, don't tell anyone else. I've said that. I like Forban, I like Road. I've nothing against any of the rest of them. For Forban, they bet Tullamore the last day, and deservedly so. It was the first time they'd bet them in years in the football championship. So they'll want to back up the victory that they got the last day. And look, it was tough. Look, a lot of them are going on the road with both Belmont, the hurlers, and Forban, the footballers. They're going week on week on week. So I got to give them credit for that, to be honest with you. It's non-stop for them. And it's tough opposition they're facing every week as well. So it's great credit to all those lads that are still competing. Look, it's in O'Connor Park. Forban tend to play really well in O'Connor Park. Shamrocks can be hit and miss in O'Connor Park at times as well. Shamrocks should have beaten Forban last year. I remember doing commentary for that game last year, and Jack Clancy came up with an unbelievable goal at the end to seal his hat-trick. They were 6 points down with 15 minutes to go, and they won it by a point, which Shamrocks would still be having nightmares about to this day. Like I mentioned, they're managed by Nigel Dunn, who's now one of the Offaly footballers as well. He's player manager with Shamrocks. Look, it's not a do or die for Shamrocks. So I actually think Forban will win this game this weekend, but I wouldn't be shocked if Shamrocks won it either. But I'm going to back Forban to make it to the semi-finals. Tullamore Road, like you said, yeah, it's 2 of the most successful teams in Offaly. Tullamore the last day, I would say, other than Mike Fox, their forwards weren't great the last day. They looked a bit tired, a bit sluggish. It's bound to happen. They've won the last 3 Offaly titles. They won it in 2021 as well. Like, they're on the road a long time. And equally as well, they're making strides in the hurling this year. They've won 2 out of their 4 games in the hurling, put up a huge battle against Ballymere, nearly made a comeback against Belmont, the equivalent of Forban in hurling last time out. So they're on the road a lot as well. Road, they destroyed Eden Derry the last day. They got the draw, the dramatic fight back against Shamrocks on the opening day. Bet Forban by a point, which came as a bit of a surprise to me. They have Aaron Keelan back. Ross Keelan was unbelievable the last day. Niall McNamee's there as well. So this will be an intriguing tie as well. I'm actually going to back Road to win it. I was very impressed with them the last day. A little more. Look, I don't expect them to be as maybe sluggish as they were against Forban, and even then, they nearly got a draw out of it in the end. I mean, that's how good they are as a team. But I just think that Road would be determined to get a big win over Tullamore, and they'd be determined. Look, Tullamore get a quarterfinal. They should still realistically win their quarterfinal against who's in the other group, to be honest with you. So they'll still be in a semi-final, in my opinion. But I think they'll be going around the long way. And I back Road and Forban to win this weekend, and for the 2 of them to make the semi-finals, and Tullamore and Shamrocks to make the quarterfinals.
Very good. Well, we're going to move on then to the rest of Leinster and the Munster Championship action then from Saturday before we move into Sunday's action. Starting off, we have Westmeath Senior Football Championship action. Tyrrell's Pass face Mouth All Whites at 5 p.m. St. Lomans will face Coralstown Kinnegad also at the same time. The Wicklow Senior Football Championship then sees Arklow face Kiltegan at 7 p.m. and Blessington face Baltinglass at 7 p.m. in a heavyweight clash there. In Longford, Rathclyne face Arda Moido at 7 p.m. Tramard face Kilo at 7 and Mullinocta face Abilara at the same time. Then in Munster, Tipperary Senior Football Championship sees Grange Muckler go up against Mull Rovers at 6 p.m. and Lockmore Castleiney face Upperchurch John Bain at 6 p.m. as well. In the Clare Senior Football Championship, then Cratloe face Doonbeg at 3. Era Ogue face St. Joseph's Milltown Malbay at the same time. Ennis-Timon face Kildee Sart at 5 and St. Joseph's Dura Bearfield face Kilmihill at the same time. So lots of action there. I think the main one that catches my eye, as Peter says, Blessington Baltinglass, that will be a hefty clash there in Wicklow. 2 sides who have had a lot of success in the last few years. And whoever wins that one will have a ton of confidence to go on and potentially win this year.
Yeah, they absolutely will. And I mean, we've backed, I don't know, did you back Baltinglass to win Wicklow?
Honestly, can't remember. let me get the graphic, because the names sound familiar. That's the funny thing as well.
Yeah, that's the big issue, isn't it? Yeah, look, Baltinglass are on an unbelievable run at the moment after winning it last year as well. So yeah, I've backed them to win the Wicklow Championship again this year, and I think that will continue this weekend in terms of beating.
I said Baltinglass as well.
Yeah, I think, did we all predict Baltinglass? Sorry, I keep asking you. Did we all predict?
I can get it. Matthew said Blessington, and Aaron said Carnew. Aaron said Carnew Emmets.
Why did I think he said? But anyways. But yeah, look, when you've got players in your team like Mark Jackson, Pat Burke, Patrick Whelan, some top class players in their team, then they're going to go a long way. They've got McGrath there as well, who's a prominent figure in their team. So I'm going to back Baltinglass to win, and I'm going to back them to win the Wicklow Championship. Although I do love the fact now that you said the match critics did Blessington to win it, so there's a bit of rivalry there for the weekend for us. For the weekend for us anyway. In terms of games elsewhere, one game that stands out for me is St. Lomans and Corstown Kinnegad in the Westmeath Championship. Speaking to Jack Cooney earlier, the Corstown manager, and he's happy with where they're at the moment. They're unbeaten so far. Unlucky not to beat the Downs, although that's kind of been everyone this year before Luke Loughlin came back. So he said it to me. There's one game he doesn't want him to come back for, and it's that game. And he came back and he got a couple of 2-pointers and they drew the game. So that tells you everything you need to know about him. And they've won their last game comfortably enough as well. But St. Lomans have been hit and miss this year, to be fair to say. 3 draws out of 3 against Gary Castle, Downs, and Mullingar Shamrocks. So they'll be determined to get themselves a win this weekend. But of course, Town Kinnegad, another win here will put them in a great position to get to the knockouts, or I think they might be in the knockouts anyway, just deciding how the Westmeath Championship goes. But yeah, they got a great win the last day against Galway. They're out this weekend, and then they're out the following weekend. They had to do that a couple of weeks ago. It's week on week. It's very tough for them as well, along with players that are playing hurling as well. But yeah, that's a big game that stands out to me anyway.
That's it. So Peter saying there, Lomans or Heslin, dark horses. Like, I mean, when you're looking at, like, they won 3 in a row a few years back. Like, but in terms of, like, on paper, they have Sam McCartan as well. They had Ronan O'Toole over the last 2 years. They have a lot of big names from the Westmeath scene. Personally, I'm still confident with the Downs that they can get over the line. For Leinster, maybe not as confident as I was at the beginning, especially seeing how well Ballygunner are moving in Dublin. Like, they're moving really, really well. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Moving then into Sunday, and we've got hurling action galore on the Sunday. We talked about the Waterford Senior Hurling Championship final already. That takes place at 2:30 on Sunday, live on TG Car. There's also action from the Cork Premier Senior Hurling Championship divisional section in McKilly go up against Shandoon at 7 p.m. on Sunday. Very late for a throw-in on a Sunday there. Antrim Senior Hurling Championship sees Dunloy face St. Enda's at 2 p.m. and Rory O'Cushendale face Glenariff Usheen at 5 p.m. That's, again, 2 big heavyweights there. Dunloy and Rory O'Cushendale, regular finalists, going up head-to-head there. But yeah, no, in their respective games, they're not actually against each other. Monaghan then has its semi-final stages. Inniskeen Grattan's against Castleblaney and Truett against Monaghan Harps, while in Meath, Trim will face Kiltale at 4 p.m. So that's the hurling action from the Sunday. What jumps out to you?
Yeah, I suppose just for the fact that I've predicted Rory O'Cushendale to go very well this year. Their game against Glenariff Usheen, I hope I've pronounced that right, but just simply for the fact that Rory O'Cushendale are a team that I've huge respect for, and a team that I've probably been a small bit unlucky over the last number of years. They were unlucky not to reach the All-Ireland final in early 2024. They played out that absolute classic against Schlockneil 2 years ago, where Neil McManus got that unbelievable hat-trick, and I would actually probably argue the best club hurling game of all time, nearly, to be honest with you. It was just
an amazing game.
That was incredible. I just remember we had to play St. Mullins the next morning, but sure, all we were talking about was that Rory Schlockneil game, like just the quality in it and the shooting in it. Like, it was a very open game, but it was a great game for neutrals, So, but look, when you have the likes of Owen Campbell, Conor McAllister, and you have the likes of Neil McManus in there, like, you have some top class players in there, and look, we know about Neil. He's been on the pod, and it was great to have him on. Hopefully, look, it'd be great if Rorio could maybe win an Ulster title or something, getting back on again, chatting again, possibly.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
That's the hint. If anyone's watching, if you come onto this show, we will be rooting for you in every game that you play.
Unless you're from our rival club.
Yeah. Even then,
that's just simply for the fact that I predicted them to go well this year. And as well as that, I mean, how old's Neil McMahon is now? What, 35, 36 or something like that? And he's still and he's still pulling the strings for them in the most unbelievable fashion. So like he could probably still do a job for Antrim, let's be honest about it. So yeah, that'll be the big hurling game that stand out to me this weekend anyway.
Absolutely. So, well, then we've got plenty of football action as well. I'm going to do the same thing, put Roscommon in with the Ulster teams, give you an in-depth dive on Offaly, or you'll give us an in-depth dive on Offaly, and then I'll ask you to discuss the rest of Leinster and Munster as well. Starting off in Ulster and Roscommon, we have in the Armagh Senior Football Championship, Carrickcruppen face High Moss Sarsfields at 4:15. This is on the Sunday. Clonairon face Mullabon at the same time. Drummond face Tulsaran at 6:30, and Crossmaglen Rangers face the current champions, Madden Rapparees, at 6:30 p.m. In Derry, Balahi face St. Canice's Dungiven at 12 p.m. Waddy Grange Glen face Banagher at 1:45. Ballinderry face Ballinascreen at 4:15. And Slotneil face O'Donovan Rossa at 6 p.m. In Cavan, Gowna face Castlerahan at 5 p.m. And Killygarry face Mullahoran at 6:30 p.m. While in Roscommon, Michael Glavies face Western Gales at 4, and St. Bridget's face Strokestown at the same time.
Yeah, so I suppose with the Armagh Football Championship, Crossmaglen Rangers, they're always the one that you're looking at in Armagh, aren't they? After the amount of success that they had, they were the original, I suppose, Ballygunner to a degree up in the Armagh Championship. That's not kind of the case anymore. The Armagh teams are sort of copped on, so maybe there's a bit of hope. Maybe there is hope for the teams of Waterford anyway over the next number of years. Take it from there. But yeah, Crossmaglen Rangers against Madden, that'll be a very, very fascinating tie. Crossmaglen Rangers, similar to St. Pat's, have won one and lost one so far. Madden have won one and drawn one. They drew with Naomh Pádraig Romain in their game. So that'll be a very, very interesting tie to look forward to in Antrim anyways. Schlockneil and O'Donovan Rossa, again, love O'Donovan Rossa, but I think Schlockneil probably should be too strong for them in the football championship anyway. Schlockneil have a lot of great players in their team. I mean, the McGuigans stand out as the main ones, don't they? Absolutely savage footballers. Brendan Rodgers as well, he's playing football. I imagine he's playing football at the moment, I'd imagine. For them as well, hurlers. So yeah, he'd be a great one to look out for. Anyways, St. Bridget's and Strokestown, I can even see it, the lads in the comments saying it'll be a feisty enough encounter. You'd imagine St. Bridget's, given that they are current champions and the current All-Ireland runners-up, they should probably be too strong in that encounter. But again, I mean, good to see Ryan saying that it'll be feisty anyway. So hopefully there'll be a bit of blood and thunder in that game come the end of Sunday evening anyway. So yeah, some big games up in Ulster anyway. Ulster,
absolutely. So well, then jumping across to your home county, we have Clara facing Douro at 3 p.m. and Clonbelow facing Brackna at 3 p.m. What are you expecting from these two?
Yeah, Clonbelow Brackna's actually at 2 p.m. and Clara Douro's at 3:45, but we won't worry about too much about that. But yeah, it's a good thing that Clonbelow Brackna is first, because if Clara Douro was first and Clara won, then it would make Clonbelow Brackna very pointless, because Clara then would seal their place in the semi-final. So it'd be a very pointless game. But thankfully, common sense prevailed, and yeah, Clonbelow, Brackna, and Clara all have a chance of reaching the semi-finals this weekend. Douro, unfortunately for them, they're going to be in a relegation final, so they really just have pride to fight for. It's very hard to call these ones. Clonbelow, possibly, it's looking likely they'll be without Jack McAvoy, one of Offaly's senior footballers this year, so he'd be a big loss for them. Brackna have some really good players in their team, the likes of Peter Cunningham, who was Offaly senior footballer for years, was Offaly captain at one stage as well, kicked some unbelievable 2-pointers earlier on the season against Douro, which won it for them in dramatic fashion. Clara have had a bit of a up and down season, should have beaten Brackna, should have lost to Ballycommon, drew both games, beat Clonbelow comfortably enough. it's a tough one to call. Ballygunner are already in the quarterfinals, so they can just relax this weekend before they head into the knockout stages. If I was to back one, I probably would maybe back Bracknell, just because I think the likes of having Peter Cunningham in there will give them an edge, and Dempsey at full forward as well. But Clara would be licking their lips as well. They'll be chomping at the bit as well. They have some good players in their team, the likes of Barry Egan, Conor Doyle, obviously senior hurlers with Offaly. Graham Guilfoyle has been around for a long time as well, former Offaly footballer. Marcus Dalton on the Offaly panel at the moment as well. So, yeah, I'd probably back Bracknell, but it's an intriguing weekend in the Offaly football.
Absolutely. So, especially when you combine it with the action that we're going to see on the Saturday as well. But moving then to the rest of the action from the Leinster Championships and the Munster Championships. In Westmeath, Athlone face Killucan at 1 p.m. Mullingar Shamrocks face Gary Castle at 2:30. And the Downs face Corey at 5, with Tubber Clare squaring off against Tang at the same time on Sunday. Then in Wicklow, Arrow Greystones face Hollywood at 5 p.m. and Tinnahealy face Ratnew at the same time. In Longford, Colmkills face Clongwish at 2:30, with Longford Slashers facing St. Mary's Grenade at the same time. Then in Tipperary, Ballyporeen face Kilsheal and Kilcash at 2 p.m. with JK Brackens facing Turles Sarsfields at the same time. In Clare, St. Breckens faces Lissy Casey at 1. Curraflynn faces Kilmurray Ibracane at the same time. In Donegal, LGFA, Nave Connell face Nave Wirra at 10:30 a.m. Very early for a game to start there. Aorua, what?
10:30 a.m.
Yeah, and Aorua against Mobile at 11. Termon against Nikhil Anada at 10:30. Glenfinn versus St. Eunan's at 10:30. Glenfinn are the current champions. Of the Donegal LGFA. Very, very early. And in Leitrim, it continues. Drumcairn against St. Francis's at 11. Ballinamore, Sean O'Heslands versus St. Mary's Kiltahart at 11. And Glencarmel or Hamilton, champions currently against St. Joseph's at 11 a.m. as well.
That's ridiculous timing. Are they
I hope they're not out on the beer on Friday.
Well,
or maybe on Saturday.
If they're doing it so they get to EP, I mean, fair enough. But like, it's also a fair trip afterwards, you know. And on the final day as well. Jesus Christ, that is outrageous. I mean, fair play to them. They're going to get up early in the morning, like you said. You better be heading to bed early to be playing a game like that at that hour in the morning. But yeah, I suppose looking at the Tipperary Football Championship, JK Brackens and Turles Sarsfields, it's amazing. Like that for me is just such a typical hurling game that you wouldn't be thinking about it in, in a football terms. And even you see JK Brackens at the moment, their commercials are seen the favourites for the Tipperary Championship at the moment. JK Brackens are 6th favourite. Turles Sarsfields are 8th favourites at the moment. So that'll be an interesting tie to look forward to this weekend. I suppose it'd be interesting to see how the likes of Longford Slashers get on in the Longford Championship as well. Tina Healy as well in Wicklow have some players in their team as well over the past number of years. Am I correct in saying Tina Healy, they win the Wicklow Championship the last year or two, or am I correct in saying that?
In
Wicklow.
In the LGFA, you saying?
No, in the senior football.
I don't think so.
No,
I could be wrong.
No, just my brain.
I think they might have. I think is that Dean Healy's club.
No, I don't think. No, I don't think it is.
No, it's not. Apologies. Take that back.
Never mind. That's my bad then. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they got on. They are a good club, to be fair. They have some good players in their team. They have Matthew Ging in their team, who's a very, very good player, stood out for the last number of years. Killian MacDonald as well. Alan Nolan, very good goalkeeper. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they get on this weekend in the Wicklow Championship. Anyways, in Westmeath, yeah, like you said, the Downs, they should beat Colliery comfortably enough. Anyways, I'm kind of the same as you. I don't know whether my confidence in them winning Leinster is as big as maybe it was a couple of weeks ago, but in terms of winning Westmeath, it's them or of course Down Kinnegad in my opinion. I think it'll just ultimately come down to them in the decider anyway. But wait and see what comes out there. And it stands out to you this weekend.
Absolutely. So, well, we're going to move then to the Camogie action, which is taking place across the weekend. And again, Liam, just in terms of what action stands out to you, starting off with a game that happened tonight. Chloe Sigerson starred for Killa as they rallied from 2 goals down to beat St. Catherine's. The former Cork ace hit 13 points for the East Cork side, according to the Echo Live that gave the match report there from the game, which happened tonight. So big win for Killala there, and big shout out to the Echo Live for getting that match report out so quickly after the end of the game. Big shout out there. On Friday, then tomorrow we have Cavan, Camogie, Larry United facing Lacken at 7, Crossalock against Den at the same time. Clare Camogie, Newmarket on Fergus face Clooney Quinn at 6, Kilmaley face Clare Castle Ballyea at 6:30, Scariff, Oganul face Fecal, Killanena at 6:30, St. Joseph's then face Tulla at 6:30. In Cork Camogie, Corsi Rovers face Ballincollig at 7, Ballinora face Blackrock at the same time. Then Tipperary, Camogie sees Clonulty Rossmore face Silver Mines at 8. On Saturday, the Antrim Camogie Championship sees McQuillan's Ballycastle face St. Mary's at 12:30. Lockgill Shamrocks face Dunloy at 12:30, and Rorio Cushendall face Breeding Yoga at the same time. In Derry, we have Newbridge facing Slotneil in the first quarter-final of the day at 12. Balahi face Lavey, Swatcher face Ballinascreen, and Glen face Dungiven at the same time. In Down Camogie, Portaferry face Leitrim, and Ballygalget face Ballycran. In Tipperary, Turles Sarsfields face Moneygall at 11 a.m. And then on Sunday, the Galway Camogie Championship returns with Mulla facing Athenry at 3:15 p.m. and Sarsfields facing Ardrahan at 5 p.m. I suppose when we're talking about what's the obvious one to look for, you look to Galway. Athenry, current All-Ireland champions. Sarsfields looking to get back on top, and they started off with a bang last week. So it'll be interesting to see, can they put it back to back now against Ardrahan?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it was an unbelievable season last year for Athenry, and I mean, Galway Camogie has massively benefited from their success as well. Okay, they lost to Cork a couple of weeks ago, but I mean, it was a 1-point game. It could have gone either way in the end. But yeah, Athenry, be interesting to see if they have the so-called All-Ireland hangover from last year, or if they just go straight on and try and win the Galway Championship again. Look, taking on Sarsfields won't be simple. Sarsfields are a top class team in Galway. I think that was one of the biggest shocks to me last year. Not in a bad way, but just like I think I expected Sarsfields to win last year, and they didn't. Athenry won, and they went on to win the All Ireland, and deservedly so. They were fantastic in their 2 finals, made unbelievable comebacks in those 2 games against the Bars. I mean, you had to feel for the Bars last year in Camogie and in football as well. They just had a really tough end to the season, but yeah, Aoife Donoghue would be a huge player for Mulla this weekend anyways, that's for sure. But yeah, I'd expect Athenry to probably still win the Galway Championship again this year, just as long as they don't have a hangover, to be honest, from last year, which is possible. Let's be honest about it. You've reached the top of the mountain. Some of them would have been in with the Galway senior camogie team this year as well. It's been a very long season for them. But look, it's been a couple of weeks. Well, I say a couple of weeks. It's only been 2. It's going to be 3 weeks by the end of this weekend. So I suppose they've had a bit of a rest, since that game against Cork. So we look forward to seeing how they get on there. A game that stands out to me, actually, ironically, in Cork is Ballincollig, just because against Corsi Rovers, just because they got the All-Ireland intermediate final last year, were just narrowly beaten by Camross in the end. But I was impressed with them, to be fair. Like, they weren't expected really to get to that stage. It's probably like going into a Shark Tank to a degree for them this season, but they do have an exciting team coming into the championship this season. Like, I'm actually looking forward to seeing how they do get on in the respective championships. So that'll be one game for me that'll be good to look out for across their championship anyway this weekend.
Absolutely. So, well, time now to have a look at one breaking piece of news which broke as we were live on the podcast A2. Big shout out came in with the comment, and I checked it there online. It is confirmed across multiple sources online. It's been reported that Gabriel Bannigan has stepped down from the Monaghan senior football management position. So very, very interesting in terms of, he is 2 years in charge of Monaghan. And the one thing that I have to say, I think he did a good job. And I think he was underrated in terms of how he did in the position, because he got that Monaghan job fresh off the back of the big generals that Monaghan had lost, like Conor McManus, like Darren Hughes, who got that injury very quickly and then was gone. Big players stepped away. Carl O'Connell, these lads are not easily replaced for Monaghan. And the way that he did it, absolutely savage. And Peter here with a great shout. David McCaig could be the next manager, of course. Did a great job with Scottstown, and has done a great job with Scottstown as their manager. Very, very well respected in Monaghan circles. And had the pleasure of meeting him once when I was working with TG Carr, absolute gentleman. So he could be a great shout. But for Bannigan, it's kind of a thing as well for Monaghan that, again, they had so many near moments. Like you think about the controversy as well with the Hoots at that time, that they were knocked out of the Ulster Championship in his first year in charge, getting to the Ulster final and then losing in extra time to Armagh, and then losing in a bit of a chaotic game against Louth in the All-Ireland quarter-final. Now, knowing what we know now, you would have imagined that Mayo would have beaten Monaghan in that semi-final anyway, but you just never know. So there's little moments where it could have gone a lot better for them, but all in all, I think he did a good job.
Absolutely. And when you consider as well the dark, well, maybe it's in hindsight now, maybe it wasn't so dark, but they were in a tough place after the league as well. They had an absolutely terrible league campaign. There's no point saying otherwise, but they turned it around massively in the championship. And you say Mayo would have beaten Monaghan. They were hammering them in the qualifier round, say, and Monaghan only lost by a point in the end. They made a dramatic comeback. So who's to say? Yeah. Who's to say if Mayo weren't, say, what were they, 4 points up against Louth at halftime? Who's to say Monaghan couldn't have? Because Monaghan probably, to a degree, have a bit more experience than, say, that Louth team of being. They've been in 2 All-Ireland semi-finals in the last decade. You know, they've been in Ulster finals. They only lost Armagh after extra time in the Ulster final as well. Made that comeback against Derry. They're not a team similar, I suppose, to Louth maybe, but they're not a team that lie down. They're not a team that give up. So I have a feeling that maybe you never know. You never know. Will they beaten Kerry? Probably not. I think that just the whole momentum for Mayo probably just swept that aside. But yeah, like you said, promotion. Okay, I know it didn't go well this year, but promotion from Division 2. And let's be honest, they were miles better than Roscommon in that Division 2 final as well. Probably, I would actually say the biggest tough one to take for them was the All-Ireland quarter final last year against Donegal. 7 points up at half-time, 1-15 in the first half. Only 5 points in the second half. It's literally that second half that killed them, to be honest with you. And I felt so sorry for them because I was really impressed with them all year. If they'd have gone to the semi-finals, met Meath in the semi-finals, you never know. They could have reached an All-Ireland final. But look, I agree with you completely. I think he's done a really, really good job. He's brought along some really good players as well. I think they're in a good place. I think they'll be one of the favourites to go back up next year from Division 2, as much as that will be a very difficult thing to do. Division 2 nowadays is just as tough as Division 1. But I think they should have a good campaign next year. They'll definitely want to get back to an Ulster final next year. But whoever takes them over, listen, Andy Moran wasn't, after having the season he had with Mayo, after having been in there for the period he was in there as well, maybe he could have been a shout, but obviously that won't be happening now. He'll never be leaving Mayo at this point. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see who does take over from him. But yeah, I think he did really well in his 2 years, and best luck to him with whatever he does next.
Absolutely. So it'll be very interesting to see who replaces him. It'll be very interesting to see how the club championship action from across the weekend goes. That is where we're going to park this for the weekend preview show. On the 27th of August, we'll be back on Sunday to give the full weekend review show as well. It's going to be a bumper episode. We'll have so much action to go through. So make sure to join us then live at 8 p.m. here on the Cúilín Media YouTube channel. Big thanks to Liam for jumping on with us again. Big thank you to Peter, to Ryan, to A2, to Brendan, to Thomas Johnson, to anybody who got involved in the comments throughout the show. You helped to really improve the show and again make it another good one for the books. We'll be back, as we said, on Sunday at 8 p.m. for the weekend review show. But until then, enjoy the games. August, enjoy your weekend. August.
Follow your instinct, baby.